I'm Mike,
And I'm Amber. Welcome to the Covenant Chronicles,
where we tell you the truth about relationships.
giving you the tools to build the foundation you always needed. Welcome back to the podcast.
Apparently we're starting. I'm over here being goofy, making all kind of funny noises. Golly.
We'll edit that part out. It's fine.
Or not, is what it is. Well, we're going to recap on a topic. And I want to talk about goals again. Because I just recently got back from an event. And it is quite impactful. We've talked about before just how the words you use or how important words can be. And even though, communication, the words that are said are such a small percentage of what is actually received in communication, right? Because tone and body language are much more important. However, when you use words, because the amount of words that are actually in the English language versus what words your brain actually recognizes as important is so slim, the words we choose to use are important. And I had this, epiphany, awakening, realization, whatever you want to call it, whatever label you want to put on it, while at this event. And it had to do with goals.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we want to talk about that. And, when you look up the definition of the goal or a goal, it's this like something you desire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the problem with that is, my grandfather used to say, want in one hand and crap in the other and see which one fills up faster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the purpose behind that is you can want all you want, but if you're gonna perform an action and do the work or do something physical, right, it's going to fill up a lot faster than you just wanting something. And I had this realization about the way people talk to themselves, right? There's all this language, and I'm sure almost everybody listening can relate in the sense of they set a goal, right? They set a New Year's resolution. They set a goal. They set this, they set that. And when they do this, even if they've accomplished goals in their life, which is awesome if you have, I would almost be willing to bet that if you were to actually write down goals that you've set over the course of, say, the last 5 to 10 years versus goals that you actually accomplished, it would be a pretty small number, right? Like the amount of goals you actually accomplish is small. And the reason why is because a goal is just a desire, right? You can want something all you want, but if the actions don't follow, right? If you're not making actions, decisions, choices, doing things to physically step in that direction, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So I had you, help me comb through all of the tools for a specific, coaching product or a coaching tool, I should say. A tool would be a better choice of words. And remove everywhere that it said goal, and we changed it to results.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about that because I think it's important in your relationships as well, right? Is results, when you look up the definition of results is something that occurs due to your actions, basically, right? So instead of setting goals, right, you should be setting results. And that sounds really weird when you're like, well, that sounds goofy to say in a sentence, right?
It does sound really weird, and I told you that when I was changing it.
Correct. But the problem with that is society has programmed us that way. And when we talk about all the other, things that are occurring in our society today that program us in a certain way, whether, we talk about life or finances or business or spirituality or relationships, right?
Mhm.
We've got it all wrong in most cases.
Mhm.
And I can say that I believe this is another one of those examples of where we've got it wrong, right? I'm not knocking anybody for using the word goal, but if a goal is just a want, your subconscious is going to register that, whether you consciously think about it or not, right?
Mhm.
A result is something that, and you can use whatever word that you choose, right? You don't have to use result, right? I chose to use result because I liked the meaning behind it and I think it's more impactful. There's plenty of other synonyms that you can look up, but you should be using a synonym to result,
Mhm.
not a synonym for a goal.
Mhm. So last time we talked about though how like really when you're setting your goals, they should align with your overall vision.
Correct.
So are we setting results to still do the same thing? Like,
Absolutely. But the difference is the results are going to be what happens when we step in that direction. You see what I'm saying?
mhm.
Because if you set a goal and say, well, this is our overall vision, but we've set these goals. Okay, goals are just wants. Without action, it's just a want,
Mhm.
right? And you deciding to take action is what's going to dictate that.
Mhm.
But if you have a result, you say, this is what my result is going to be in 2025 or 2026, right? For us, we did our 1 year goals, especially, or, when we talked about it previously, we'd recently done the 1 year goals.
Mhm.
Those need to be results because if we're taking the steps in that direction and we're actively moving that direction, then we should be creating results,
Mhm.
right? It's like having I'll just use a weight loss, right? Because that's a common one. Everybody has been through that. Even if you're fit and in shape, at one point you weren't in as good a shape as you are now, or maybe you are, in maybe you were in better shape at one point. Now, you're not in as good a shape, or whatever the situation may be. You're going to have this weight loss goal, right? Or you set this weight loss goal and you say, I want to lose X amount of pounds.
Mhm.
Okay. But what are you doing to do that? Well, I have a goal to lose, I don't know, say 30 pounds. Okay. Well, what are you actually doing to do that?
Mhm.
Oh, well, I'm going to try to get a little more active and I'm going to start going to the gym and I'm going to, okay. But you may need to do more than that depending on where you're at in your life. To lose 30 pounds in a reasonable amount of time, it's going to take you changing your eating habits. It's going to take you not drinking that soda, drinking more water.
Mhm.
It's going to take you working out, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean going to the gym and lifting heavy. It can, but more than likely, you're going to have some type of more dynamic, more universal type workout, right? To lose the weight, not necessarily just going and lifting heavy weights. And it's going to take all of these actions, right? And if you consistently do those actions, you're going to get a result from your actions,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And that's where I believe it's important for us to start changing some of our language and changing the words that we're using because our brain is going to be pick up on that, right? And
Yeah.
I'm not saying simply changing your saying goals, right, to results or whatever other synonym you choose to use is going to massively all of a sudden be a magic light switch and flip on and it changes your whole life. But what I am saying is if you consistently audit areas in your life where you're choosing certain words, be careful of those words. And this is one of those areas where changing it and programming your mind to look for results based on actions as opposed to just a want
Mm-hmm.
will change the way over time that you operate.
That makes sense. So we're doing this podcast right now, but to be honest, like we haven't actually had this conversation together yet. So even sitting here, like it's kind of new-ish information to me. Kind of like we've talked about similar things, but I'm trying to also understand the whole like results thing and how it would make a difference to me, like saying results instead of goals, um, and how that's going to change the way that I look at them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of interesting because we're doing this and
Doing
I'm
it live.
also
Yeah.
yeah.
Why not? Right?
Yeah.
Pull back the curtain. I mean, we're not here to hide anything, you know? So pull back the curtain and let the information out
Yeah.
of, you know, these conversations that we have. But, you know, going back to the words and using the word results, like I said, that was the word that I chose because I personally, I like the way that my mind was able to wrap around that word,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if you think about it, I mean, think about your goals in your life. How many goals have you ever set that never came to anything?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you went that direction a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
Probably like 90% of them.
Right. Right. But if you think about it, that's the way that we're programmed. And think about, you know, I guess, everything you see online, right? Or whatever, that's all motivational, right? It always talks about the perfect way to set goals. Well, you have to do this, you have to do that. You have to most people can't don't ever, I won't say can't. It's a bad way to put it. What I'll say is most people don't actually reach their goals that they set.
Mm-hmm.
Not because they didn't do it the perfect way and there's some magical way to do it, but your mind is a powerful tool. And your mind is a lot more resilient and has a lot more control over things in your life that you don't think are in your control than most people realize.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about that,
Yeah.
right? With like NLP, like your neuro linguistic programming stuff, right?
Yeah.
Of how these patterns and being able to adjust these patterns in your life make massive differences.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another one of those patterns that I believe that people struggle with. Right? They set the
Yeah.
goals, they don't meet them. Well, you not meeting them or not doing them is programming your subconscious to tell yourself, well, if I set a goal, I'm not going to hit it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so throw the wants out because it doesn't matter what you want. It matters what you're going to do and the results that are going to come from your actions. You can want to improve your relationship, but if you don't take steps to do it, all it is a want, right?
Yeah.
And if you label it a goal, it's still a want,
Yeah.
right? But if your result is that you're setting, right? It's like you got to think of it in the aspect of running a business, right? And when I use this analogy a lot of times, sometimes people will, I guess, give a weird look or kind of this like take it in a weird way because I'm taking the humanization a little bit out of it.
Mhm.
But it's true, right? Any effectively running a business is the same as doing anything effectively in your life, in the sense that if you put in actions, you're going to gain measurable results.
Yeah.
And you can measure, uh, you know, in the business world, they call them KPIs, but your key performance indicators in any area of your life and identify, are you actually putting in the work or not,
Mhm.
right? Are you getting the results or not? And if not, you can actually track that stuff and basically figure out where you're struggling at.
Mhm.
And when I say that, right, it's almost this like funny look of, well, how does that apply to a relationship? Okay, well, your key performance indicators are really obvious in relationships, right? For guys, how often are you getting laid?
Mhm.
Let's just be blunt about it, right? How often does she actually want to sleep with you? Well, if it's pretty rare, you're probably screwing up, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're stepping up, like this whole, I mean, we've talked about it before, right? And we can say that we've experienced it, we've been through it, we understand it, we've seen it over and over again. It is a consistent thing inside of relationships, right?
Yeah.
If you have this situation where she's not desiring you, you're not doing the crap that you should be doing,
Mhm.
right? And you can make all these excuses and say, well, no, I really am. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. No, that's you convincing yourself that you are, because subconsciously and deep down, you know you're not,
Yeah.
right? Because when you are, you don't have to convince yourself that you are, because you know who you're being,
Yeah.
right? So that's a great example of like a key performance indicator,
Mhm.
right? How connected is the relationship, right? I was just talking about this stupid trend going around social media right now, right?
Mhm.
And it's one of these, oh, do this to your partner trends, and I don't know if you've seen it or not. It's called the bird trend.
Oh, yeah.
You know, where they basically have a random conversation, and you bring up a random thing, you see how engaged your partner is, right?
Yeah.
It's a silly trend, and you know, it is stupid, but there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, but that actually comes from the Gottman theory, I think,
It is.
where it's actually a thing. Like if your partner comes to you and talks about something mundane and your partner interacts with it,
Hmm.
then that's a key indicator of if your relationship is actually like healthy and good or not.
Right.
Because even something silly, like if you're in a good, healthy relationship, your partner's going to be interested and engaged no
Hmm.
matter what it is.
Hmm. Well, and that's exactly it, right? So let's use that. That is a key performance indicator of your relationship,
Yeah.
right? And we can keep going down these. I mean, there's multiple that you can use, right? Um, we've talked about it. I mean, you want to see a physical one, right? Take a picture with your partner.
Hmm.
Smile. Try to get a smile out of you two in that moment. Take a picture. Take a selfie of you
You
two.
love to criticize people's pictures.
Because it is a a window, right, into how they are at that moment. And here's the thing. Sometimes you have an off moment, right?
Yeah.
But usually you can still tell. But you can compare and you can see when people are not doing well by the look in their eyes in their pictures.
Yeah.
You can put on the fake smile, you can smile as big as you want, and you can pretend. But when you've been on the other side of it and you've worked through it and you understand it, you can see it clear as day. We talk about that, right?
Yeah.
We can meet a random couple in a restaurant that we've never met before, and in 30 seconds have a pretty good read on where their relationship is purely by the look in their eyes,
Yeah.
right? So that's another key performance indicator that you can use. But it goes back to taking that and then being able to make adjustments and make changes as you need, right?
Hmm.
But with that being said, what words are you using?
Yeah.
Right? And this is where I'm saying, I'll say it again for the people in the back that didn't hear it the two or three other times. It doesn't have to be the word results, but you need to use a synonym for results, not a synonym for goal, not a synonym for wants,
Hmm.
right? Because results, or one of its variations or synonyms, are going to be based on the physical actions and steps that you take.
Yeah.
Because it is too easy for us to have a want, but oh well, if you don't want it bad enough, it's not going to do this. It's not going to. I think half the time people will put a want because it sounds good. We talked about that with the goals too before,
Yeah.
right? When we were talking about setting goals,
Yeah.
we talked about how you'll put stuff just because it sounds good. That's because it's a want, right?
Yeah.
Does it actually match your vision? And if it does, what result? You have to take a step back and look at it in reverse and say, well, if I did the work and I did the steps that I need to do, what is the result that I want to achieve?
Hmm.
Right? When we related it back to the business. Okay, if you want to create a certain result inside of your business, you can say, this is the result. Okay, well, now let's backtrack from the result and what specific actions, what specific steps do I have to take, do I have to complete to achieve that result?
Yeah. That is a better way of looking at it, honestly. I guess if you're sitting down to think of your overall vision and where you know, like this is where my life is headed, breaking down the results to get to that point,
Mm-hmm.
because then you know the steps that you actually have to take to get there versus, I guess, like you said, a goal could just be, well, I want to go on a vacation this year. Okay. But what are you doing to get to that vacation?
Right. Right.
Makes sense. It's clicking in my head now.
Well, and it's the thing is you have to emotions and feelings are important in relationships, but when you're talking about where you want to go, you almost have to be able to separate that a little bit and say, okay, I want to look at this from a very dynamic, logical perspective of how to get there,
Hmm.
right? Because, for example, in a relationship, if you're like, man, I want to set a goal to have more connection.
Hmm.
Okay, that's cool. That's a want, right?
Yeah.
well, what are you going to do? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll do this or I'll do that. Or then you start researching. You're like, I don't know. Well, maybe this will create connection. Well, this thing over here says it'll create okay. Well, no, my result in the next 6 months is going to be more connection inside of my relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, you have a result. Now, here's the other powerful part of this, right? That we haven't even gotten to yet. You're already pre-programming your mind, right? Because we talked about this. Talked about it. We've hit on it in various podcasts. What you tell yourself is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So if you tell yourself, well, I want this, and you failed 90% of your time on your goals or your wants, you're already telling your brain this probably isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you say this is a result of my actions
Mm-hmm.
that's going to happen in 6 months, you're pre-programming your brain to say this has already happened.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You see
You're
what I'm saying?
creating it.
You're creating it, right? And you can call that different, right? The spiritual people call it manifesting, right? In the Bible, it talks about it in other ways, right?
Yeah.
But either way, it's the same thing, and we've talked about that, where it's really funny because it's really interesting now that I've become more aware of it. Now I'm seeing it popped up and talked about all the time, where people are saying, "Oh, science is finally catching up to what Jesus came to tell us, and in the Bible, and da da da." And it's true, right? The more you read through it, it's all over there.
Yeah.
But at the same token, by using results or a synonym for that, you're saying, hey, this is what I've accomplished in 6 months based on my actions. And you have a precise target that you're trying to hit, right? Of more connection.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, well, now let me backtrack. What actions would I have done over the next 6 months that created that? Oh, well, I'm going to send her a good morning text every morning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm going to walk in the door and I'm going to give her a hug right away.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because we talked about even today, right? It's crazy. It was all over the place. I had a phone call. My dad had called me. I walked in the door, was on the phone with my dad. Kids were, of course, I come through the door. They're jumping on me like little monkeys all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get my stuff off. I'm trying to put my bag down. I'm trying to walk in the door. And it was a couple minutes before I got to you and gave you a hug, right? And you even gave me crap about it
Mm-hmm.
because by doing that, that created a little bit of disconnection from us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could feel it, which is why you brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
So, in that same token, okay, well, in the next 6 months, my result is more connection. Okay, well, when I walk in the door, I'm going to give her a hug, right?
Yeah.
Those things look different from the woman's perspective, right? Of how you would create this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's programming your brain to say, this is what I'm going to achieve. This is where my life is going to be, right?
Yeah.
Because when you look at results, you got to think about it. When you look at results anywhere in your life, right? Well, when you were in school, you looked at your results, which were your grades.
Yeah.
Those were the results of whatever actions you had taken.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to work and you work at an hourly job and you get that paycheck, that was the result of the job that you chose and the hours that you worked at that job.
Yeah.
Right? In business, you get a result based on the work or the systems that you set up or whatever else, whatever result metric you're looking at.
Yeah.
Right? It's based on physical occurrences in a set time period. So when you're setting these preemptively and saying, this is my result, You're saying, this is where I'm going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Not this is where what I want, so what I like. No, this is where you're going to be.
So I guess if you previously listened to our last podcast about goals,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we need to revisit that and look at your overall vision again,
Mm-hmm.
and then figure out if the goals that you wrote down actually are results or just things that you're wanting.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important. We recapped this on, or we talked about this on the previous one, right? You have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
We just the with the other couple, like that's where they started, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about that, and it was really awesome when we were at their house. And I was, hey, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I love your dream board. But that's where they started, right?
Yeah.
They hadn't really done that together before.
Yeah.
And set those
Yeah.
results, almost said goals, results, right? Together before.
Yeah.
And they started, and they admitted some of this stuff we might not do, but it was a starting place, right? And that's what we talked about. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint, right?
Yeah.
And if you've never set results together or really honed in on where you want your life together, it can be a challenge, and you're gonna put all those wants
Yeah.
and you're gonna have 50 things over the next year or two that you want, or even 5 years. And then you reduce those goals down. And as you start connecting with your partner more and getting deeper with them, you reduce them down, and you reduce them down, and you reduce them down to where it looks like this, right? Where we've got, well, we guessed on the number before. We're looking at the board now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 results
Mm-hmm.
for the next year. And by Monday, we'll have 2 of those to cross off.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll also change that word goal to results.
Yeah. It does still say our goals. But I'm thinking, like, is it okay to maybe create like a dream board or like a want board as well?
Absolutely. You have to start somewhere. If you've never done that, right? If you want to learn to ice skate, okay? Let's say you're going to learn to ice skate,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And you go start ice skating. You're going to be falling all over the ice, falling on your butt,
Mm-hmm.
right? Trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out how to put your feet the certain way, how to find your balance, how to
Yeah.
do all this stuff, right? It will take practice to get proficient at skating. And this is no different, right? You should have a vision board, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that the vision board is going to be your overall vision for life. And it's going to start out as a dreams and a goals and a wants board, right?
Yeah.
And it should.
Okay.
And when you do it, you dream big.
Yeah.
When you narrow it down, though, because you will, as you focus on learning yourself, as you focus on learning each other, as you focus on connecting and becoming one, right?
Yeah.
We talked about, like, in marriage, that's a big problem nowadays, is like it talks about in the Bible about a marriage covenant is becoming one.
Yeah.
Right? And so as you do that, you're going to hone some of this stuff. And some of this stuff, like with our board, when there was 30 things up there, a lot of them were just wants. And at some point in our life, maybe we'll accomplish it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But when we really sat down, we said, is it important to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we did have some things on there that, like, sure, it's something I might want for myself, but it's not necessarily like part of our overall vision of life.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And those things kind of came off.
Right. And that's where we started actually putting measurable things, measurable results, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the next year by the end of 2026. So a little over a year. What are our measurable results? And most of those tie in together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can see it now. Well,
Perfect.
there you have it. Change your wants to results. Rewire your brain.
Yeah. I mean,
Rewiring your brain tonight.
change your wording in general, right? That's what you need to work on. You need to change your vocabulary because a lot of stuff you're telling yourself is wrong. It's programming you in the wrong direction. And you don't even realize it because you've been told something by society and you wonder why your life and your relationship hasn't been working out. It's because you listened to all this stuff and went in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But this is just one area, right, where you can do that, where you change what you tell yourself and you pre-program your brain, you reprogram your brain to believe that it has already happened.
Yep. I like it. I just had another thought, but that's going to be for a different podcast. It was something I saw yesterday that really is biblical, but rewires your brain if you start thinking it. And so, yeah, that
Perfect.
just
We can
popped in
talk
my
about
head,
it.
but yeah.
On that note, we have to give them an action. So your action is to create 1 to 3 results that you want to see in the next 6 months.
Get it done. Go do
All right.
it.
All right, guys. Till next time.
Bye, guys.